Adar, Abhinandan, Abhar. Namaskar and a very good evening to all. This is Arpita Srivastav Rai welcoming you all to this teaming tournament on public policy under Srijan Social Internship Program for you all. Well, let me tell you one thing. A mentor is someone who sees more talent and ability within you than you see in yourself and helps bring it out of you. And I truly resonate with Mr. Bob Proto when he said, a mentor is someone who allows you to see the hope inside yourself. And that's how today we have curated this session of interns presenting on Indian space policy, where students from UPS, NMIDT, and Avinash Lingam will be presenting their presentation. Well, you often might heard about that famous phrase, right? The sky is the limit only for those who are not afraid to try. And that kind of spirit we are looking in you all, my dear students. Well, now I would like to invite the convener of the Atmanirbhar Bharat, Mr. Pradeep Singh, who will be giving you the inputs on the internship assignments. Over to you, Pradeep ji.
Yeah, thanks, Arpita ji, and thanks to all students for joining today. And thanks to Sri Sudha Madam also for joining as an mentor for today's session. The complete setup for today's session is the students, those students from three of the universities, they will be presenting their first level of understanding what they understood about the Indian space policy. And once you present on, we had some framework which on basis of which we are evaluating. I, Sri Sudha Madam and Arpita ji. Of course, your college coordinators were also there. They will be evaluating, but their evaluation will not be counted. But of course, they will be also evaluating. Secondly, Arpita ji will be actually taking the names of the colleges. On that particular series, the sequence will be there. You need to present for 10 minutes, 20 minutes for each college, 10 minutes for each student. So it depends upon you which actually framework you need to present, who will be speaking what. So totally depends upon you to as a team member for the college representative. After that, whatever the presentation is been given by you people, then I actually request all the coordinators, college coordinators, how they have planned to actually mentor their students or whatever the understanding they come out with these particular presentations. The college coordinators will present, and then Sri Sudha Madam will present her understanding on the this thing presentation. The, the complete sequence will go likewise. And after the finish of this thing assessment, I will roll out. I will discuss about the SDG, that is assignment one, because so many queries are there about that assignment one. So beyond after that, we will be discussing. Over to Arpita ji to go for this presentation and the assessment. Thank you.
Thanks, Pradeep ji. Well, we choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard. Serve to organize and measure the best of our energies and skills because that challenge is one that we all are willingly to accept and one we are unwillingly to postpone and one which we intend to win. And that's how we, the change makers of the Atmanirbhar Bharat, strongly believe that spoon feeding in the long run teaches nothing but the shape of the spoon. Well, jokes apart. Well, now let me present our mentor, Ms. Sri Sudha Vishwanathan, to enlighten you in today's journey. But before that, I would love to give a brief introduction about her. Allow me to give your introduction, ma'am. Well, Ms. Sri Sudha Vishwanathan is the Assistant Vice President, OIF Tech Private Limited, Dubai, a gold medalist from Anna holds MTech degree in Polymer Science and Technology, former scientist of Indian Space Research Organization, ISRO, and carried out research in the frontier areas of nanotechnology, published research work in renowned international journals. Team member in the space capsule recovery experiments and identifying research activities for future programs of ISRO. Academic coordinator of Science Indian Forum UAE to identify and motivate youth students having fair for science and technology. As a regular public speaker and presenter, delivered webinars and sessions on career awareness, educational and motivational topics to schools and colleges, teachers, as well as parents community. Conducted online sessions to 1,000 plus teachers across Gulf region in UAE, Bahrain, Kuwait, and Saudi Arabia on effective online teachings using virtual tools, along with a dose of positivity to handle with COVID pandemic. Instrumental in organizing an online interactive career guidance webinar series titled Crafting a Sustainable Career for UA Students to create career awareness among students in the field of science and technology and other specialized fields for choosing their right career path that matches one's interest, ability, and aspirations. More than 1,200 students across UAE registers for the program. We are glad to have you on board with us, ma'am. Welcome to the Atmanirbhar Bharat Vocational Learning Platform.
Thank you.
Well, I would like to say something looking to her profile that what she believes in is if you cannot see where to go, ask someone who has already been there. So my dear students, you know whom to catch hold of you, right? So well, as you know, there will be a 3 teams of today's session, which I have named them at ABC. Team A students from UPSC, where Ms. Neha Sharma, BA Public Policy and Administrator, second year, Dehradun, and Ms. Sadia Hussain, BTech, BSc 2020-24, Dehradun, will be representing Team A from the UPS. Team B students from NMIDT, where Ms. Karishma Samuel, MMS 2020-22 NMIDT, Dadar, Mumbai, and Ms. Divya Gade, MMS 2020-22 NMIDT, Dadar, Mumbai, will be representing NMIDT. And Team C students from Avinash Lingam, Ms. Priyanka, SPI MSW, Avinash Lingam, Institute of Home Science and Higher Education for Women, Coimbatore, and Ms. Mani Vasaki, she's also from the Avinash Lingam Institute of Home Science and Higher Education for Women, Coimbatore, representing from Avinash Lingam. So here I invite to give their presentations. So here inviting UPS, Ms. Neha Sharma and Ms. Sadia Hussain to give their presentation. So over to you, team A. Please mark your attendance first.
Yes, ma'am, please allow me to share my.
Certainly.
Ms. Neha will be carrying out the introduction, so I request her to switch her mic on and give the introduction.
Yeah, your screen is not visible to us.
Is it not?
Yeah,
Is it visible?
now it is.
Okay.
Yes, now it's visible.
Neha will be starting this and she will be introducing the space policy for 2021.
So good morning, everybody. Today, I, Neha Sharma from UPES BA Public Policy with my friend Sadia Hussain from BTech, want to present a quick presentation on space policy for India 2021. So let's come to the introduction. That is, space activities are crucial to Indian social economic growth, technological innovations and advancement, science discovery, security, industrial competitiveness, job creation, and human resources development. India is committed to maintain its role as a leading space framing nation. Worldwide human spaceflight programs had delivered large economic and technological benefit. India has demonstrated capacity in developing operating end-to-end solution in space transportation system as well.
Sorry to interrupt, Neha. Your
Yes,
your
available.
presentation is not visible actually. Sadia and Neha, just sync with this thing, the presentation which is going on the board and which you are actually saying.
Is
You
it,
need to see-
is it visible?
Yes, please open the presentation.
Okay, Neha, am I audible to you?
Yes, Sadia.
Yeah, now it is visible. Thank you.
Hello.
Yeah, Neha, it is visible now.
Yes. The humans in space policy aims for sustainable human presence in space as an instrument for development and for the future enhancement. Now, Sadia will continue with the guidelines for the space policy 2021. Then I will continue with the procedures for the same.
I feel somehow we are missing out this presentation again. Sadia, are you there? Yeah, it's visible now.
It is. I request Neha to please share the presentation because my internet connection is unstable, so it might disappear for a while.
Sadia, I'm unable to share the screen actually. I'm using mobile phone right now, so I won't be able to.
Okay, so is it visible now?
It's visible.
Yeah, Sadhya, you can pass it on to the mentors, and so they can present it. You can do it. Otherwise, pass on the file to the mentor. It will be easy. They'll display it for you.
Yes, yes, ma'am. Sir,
May I know Radhika is there? If Radhika is there on the board,
I have no idea.
Yes, sir, I'm there.
just have a look into this so that you can help them out. Sadia or Neha, please share the presentation to Radhika so that she can move on to that presentation.
Okay, sir.
Yes, sir, I'll look into it. I've shared the PPT. Sir, give me 2 minutes.
By the time you both can discuss on the experience, how it was once you were planning to set up or once you were planning to research on this particular. By the time Radhika is switching on that presentation, you can discuss on those things also. Because rest, otherwise it's going blank. It's not good actually. Once you are into the presentation, you need to work on that.
Yes, sir. There is actually
Yeah.
raining a lot in where I live right now. So I'm sorry, the internet is really unstable right now.
Okay. Just sync with
Okay.
this thing, your team coordinator and team leader. Okay. Radhika, you just make a note of
Yeah.
which slide they are going for. Okay.
Yes, sir, I'll look into it.
Okay, let's start.
Just start a fresh. With,
Oh,
yeah, Neha, you can start.
okay, sir. Good morning, everybody. Today, me, Neha Sharma from UPES BA Public Policy and Administration, want to present a quick presentation on Space Policy for India 2021 with my friend Sadia Hussain from the BTech UPES. Space activities are critical to Indian socio-economic growth, technological innovations, and advancement. Social discovery, security, industrial competitiveness, job creation, and human resource development. And hence, it is committed to maintain its role as a leading space framing nation. Worldwide, human spaceflight program had delivered large economic and technological benefits to India, as well as demonstrated capacity in developing the cooperative end-to-end solution in space transportation system, infrastructure, and space application, as well as a goods segment. The Humans in Space Policy aims for sustained human presence in space as an instrument for development, innovation, and foster collaboration in alignment with a national interest. Human spaceflight programs need to be sustained over a longer period to deliver a tangible benefits and enabling social economic growth and further enhancement Indian stature and role in the space. Now, Sadia will continue with the guidelines of the policy. Then I will continue with the procedures for the same.
Good evening. I am Sadia Hussain from School of Computer Science at UPES, and today I will be discussing the guidelines of Space Policy for India 2021. In pursuance of the Humans in Space Policy 2021, Department of Space shall adhere to the following guidelines. Number 1, demonstrate human space flight capability, leveraging the expertise of ISRO, national research institutions, academia, industry, and other organizations. Various technological elements such as development of human-rated launch vehicle, environmental control and life support system, crew escape system, deceleration system, crew selection and training, crew recovery operations, development of human-centric products, and microgravity experiments shall be
I'm not able to hear her. Is it the same problem there?
Yeah. I'm not able to hear, of course, because we lost, I think, both
I
of them.
think, yes, we lost both of them.
I got this. Am I audible now?
Yeah,
Yes,
you
you
are.
I'm not.
Please proceed. Adya, you can proceed.
Yeah. Okay, sir. Okay. As a part of demonstration of human space flight capability, department shall undertake developmental unmanned mission prior to manned mission. A standardized approach and reliability shall be adopted for mission assurance and success. Jesus. Am I visible and audible?
Yes, please.
Yes, yes, you are.
Second point, define long-term roadmap for sustained human presence in low Earth orbit and undertaking exploration missions beyond low Earth orbit. Indian Human Space Program envisages undertaking the demonstration of human spaceflight to LEO in the short term and will lay the foundation for a sustained Indian human space exploration program in the long run. DOS, with mandate to carry out space activities in India, shall define a roadmap with regard to human space activities. Coming to the point number 3, identify and develop necessary technologies for enabling sustained presence of humans in low Earth orbit and beyond. In order to pursue the objectives as stipulated in Humans in Space Policy, the necessary technology and gap areas shall be identified. The thrust areas thus identified shall become part of technology roadmap of ISRO. The thrust areas will include key technology elements, example, regenerative life support systems, development of rendezvous and docking systems, inflatable habitats, extravehicular activity suits, etc. Now, point number 4, constitute a suitable mechanism to enable participation of various national stakeholders in Indian Human Space Program. Indian Human Space Program involves various national institutions, organizations, and stakeholders. A suitable mechanism shall be constituted to ensure effective coordination and seamless execution among various agencies involved. Announcement of opportunities shall be floated for encouraging the participation of national research institutes, academias, and industries. Point number 5, define and develop a comprehensive collaborative framework for scientific research in domains linked to human space activities, keeping in mind the national priorities. Humans in space activities are primarily science-driven. DOS ISRO shall promote and develop an ecosystem for carrying out research in domains linked to human space activities, duly considering the national priorities. Collaborative research opportunities shall be explored through suitable announcements. The evaluation and acceptance of research proposals shall be carried out utilizing the national expertise. Coming to point number 6, foster international cooperation and evolve collaborative programs of mutual interest. International cooperation shall be utilized as tool for taking up projects of mutual interest with aim to enhance knowledge in diversified scientific and engineering domains. The domain expertise of collaborative partners shall be utilized to add scientific value and accelerate the program. Participation of national research institutions, academia, and industry in international human space programs is also envisaged, with DOS ISRO acting as focal point in this regard. Point number 7, strive for human resource development and encourage entrepreneurship. Human resource development and training initiatives shall be undertaken to develop necessary expertise with regard to Indian Human Space Program. DOS ISRO shall encourage startups and industries through suitable mechanism. Mechanisms shall be established to explore spin-off opportunities and their development for societal benefits. Now, 8th and the last point, enhance public involvement in human space programs through outreach activities. Outreach programs shall be designed ensuring continuity in information dissemination with respect to opportunities and benefits of human space program. Information for dissemination shall be tailored based on stakeholders' interest. That is all for the guidelines. I hope I was clear with all the points I delivered. Now over to Ms. Neha Sharma, who will be carrying out the presentation from here. Thank you.
Okay, so I will come to the procedures of the Space Policy for India 2021 and elaborate it quickly. Okay, so to meet the goal of successful demonstration of human space flight's capacity and to achieve vision of sustained human presence in space, a national effort is envisaged. To overall human space activities shall be executed by Indian Space Research Organization in collaboration with various stakeholders like national agencies, industries, and academia, etc. The collaboration activities are expected to expand further as Indian human space program evolve in future. As part of Indian human space program, Indian Space Research Organization has entered into a many new domains such as crew selection, human safety and certification, development of science payloads, life sciences, etc. In pursuance of Humans in Space Policy 2021, the department shall continue to follow the standard norms and procedures as utilized in past and updated from the time to time to follow the perfect procedure. For activities which are exclusive to human space programs, such as involving collaborative framework, partnership with stakeholders, crew safety and certification, and crew selection, Indian Space Research Organization shall adopt the following procedures, which are as follows. First, collaborative mechanism with national agencies. To pursue activities under collaborative mechanism, Indian Space Research Organization shall constitute a national level body comprising of members from various stakeholders and participating agencies. They shall oversee the activities of program and issue guidelines for effective coordination among the stakeholders and comes to the better outcome. Second point, crew safety and certification. Crew safety is a paramount importance for any human space flight mission, and it is ensured by human rating and certification of system involved in space flight. For human rating and certification, it is very, very essential to have a strong organizational mechanism in place. Indian Space Research Organization shall evolve a standardized approach for certification of system and subsystem associated with Human Indian Space Program with the concurrence of apex body established for the purpose of the certification and the crew safety. Point 3 is crew selection. This is also an important procedure for the Space Policy for India 2021. ISRO shall establish a comprehensive criteria for screening and selection of crew members for the policy of the India, that is 2021. For initial mission pilots from Indian Armed Forces will be inducted as crew members. ISRO shall constitute a suitable mechanism for evaluation and selection of crew members for missions planned for Indian Human Space Program and more. Fourth point, intellectual property dispute settlement is the procedure that says that ISRO shall adopt existing norms and procedures for protection of intellectual property and settlement of dispute as postulated in Space Act of India with regard to activities defined under Indian Human Space Program. These are the procedures which are formed for the Space Policy for India 2021. The above procedure shall take effect upon approval of Union Cabinet of India, and the procedure shall be updated as and when necessary according to the time. So here we come to the end of the presentation. I hope I was able to convey my message and my points to you. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thanks, Team A, for their presentation. Now I would invite Team B, students from NMIDT, Ms. Karishma Samuel and Ms. Divya Gade. to give their presentation, please.
Sorry to interrupt, ma'am. It's Divya Ghadge.
Bharge. Okay.
Ma'am, is the screen visible?
Yeah, it is.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
I hope I'm perfectly audible.
Yes, you are.
Thank you.
You're on unmute.
You're on mute, dear.
Sorry, you are on mute. Unmute yourself.
A very good evening to all. Today, I am Ms. Divya Ghadge and my team member, Ms. Karishma Sanyal, would like to present a presentation on our today's topic, Indian Space Policy. So let's begin it. Before beginning with the Indian Space Policy Program, let's first understand this important program of ISRO. The Indian National Committee of Space Research, which was established by Jawaharlal Nehru and the Department of Atomic Energy in the year 1962, on the urging of scientist Vikram Sarabhai, recognizing the need in space research. The Indian Space Research Organization is the National Space Agency of India, which is headquartered in Bangalore. It operates under the Department of Space, which is directly overseen by the chairman of ISRO, which acts as an executive of DOSSO, which we call as Department of Space. Next slide, please. So now we'll focus on the history and some goals and objectives of this project, which were being carried out. India's first space policy statement can be attributed to Vikram Sarabhai. On the occasion of the dedication of TERS, or we can say Tumba Equatorial Rocket Launching Station, to the United Nations on 2nd of February 1968, he said, "We are convinced that if we are able to play a meaningful role nationally and in the community of nations, we must be second to none in the application of advanced technologies to the real problems of the man and society." Next slide, please. Here we come up with the stages of evolution of the Indian space. So we'll go one by one. The first is national requirements, which includes education, health, connectivity, weather, natural resources management, disaster management, space research. Here are the four main important phases according to the decades. We'll go for the first. Now, from 1960 to 1970, it is initiation phase, which includes vision, scientific quest, learning, capability buildup, international cooperation. In the year 1980s, it includes experimental phase, which includes experimental missions, end-to-end capability, prototyping, and research. In the year 1990s, operational phase, which includes operational missions, national services, wide user base, institutional framework. In the 2000s, we come up with expansion phase, which includes consolidation, innovative missions, newer services, newer mechanisms for partnerships, global outreach, and commercial solutions. Here I would like to compare the decades from 1970s to 1980s. Under the administration of Indira Gandhi, INFOSPA was superseded by ISRO. Later in the year 1972, Space Commission and Department of Space was set up to overview the space technologies development in India. Specifically, an ISRO was brought under DOS, institutionalizing space research in India and foreign Indian space program into its existing form. India joined the Soviet Intercosmos program for space cooperation and got its first satellite Aryabhatta in orbit through a Soviet rocket. Also, I would like to compare the 1990s from to the earliest 21st century. In this, arrival of PSLV, which we call Polar Satellite Launch Vehicle, in 1990s became a major boost for Indian space program. With the exception of its first flight in 1994 and two partial failures later, PSLV had a streak of more than 50 successful flights. PSLV enabled India to launch all its LEO, or we can say low Earth orbit satellites, small payloads, to GTO, we can call it as geosynchronous transfer orbit, and foreign satellites. Along with the flights of PSLV, development of a new rocket, namely GSLV, or we can say Geosynchronous Satellite Launch Vehicle, was going on. Next slide, please. Here is the most important concept. So as you can see, the ISRO launches two most important satellites. We can say PSLV and GSLV. So we'll start with one by one. We'll go with PSLV first. So the Polar Satellite Launch Vehicle, it is the third generation launch vehicle of India. It is the first Indian launch vehicle to be equipped with liquid stages. PSLV is designed mainly to deliver the Earth observation or remote sensing satellites. As you can see, its weight is 294. Its payload kgs are from 1500 SSO and flights are from 1993 to 2011. Whereas GSLV has been designed for launching communication satellites. GSLV delivers satellites into a higher elliptical orbit. Geosynchronous transfer orbit, which we call it as GTO, and geosynchronous Earth orbit, which we call it as GEO. Its weight is GSLV 400. Payload kgs are 2300 GTO. Flights are 7 from 2001 to 2010. Also, in the third column, we can see GSLV Mk3, which is nothing but Geosynchronous Satellite Launch Vehicle Mark 3, which is also referred as a three-stage medium lift launch vehicle, which is developed by the Indian Space Research Organization. Its weight is 6,629 and its payload kgs are from 4,000 to 4,500 GTO. Next slide, please. So here we come with the general satellites of ISRO. The first is the IRS series and second is INSAT series. We'll go with the first one first. The Indian Remote Sensing Satellites. So these are the series of India's Earth observation satellites. The IRS series provides remote sensing services and is the largest collection of remote sensing satellites for civilian use in operation today in the world. All the satellites are placed on the polar sun synchronous orbit and provide data in a variety of spatial, spectral, and temporal resolutions to enable several programs to be undertaken relevant to national development. Next slide, please. Here comes the INSAT series. We can say the Indian National Satellite System series. They are the family of the communication satellites of India. It is a series of multi-purpose geostationary satellites which is built and launched by ISRO to satisfy telecommunications, broadcasting, meteorology, and search and rescue needs of the country. Since the introduction of the first satellite in the year 1983, INSAT has become the largest almost communication system in the Asia-Pacific region. It is a joint venture of the Department of Space, Department of Telecommunications, Indian Meteorological Department, All India Radio, and Doordarshan. This was all from my side. Now I would request Ms. Karishma to take over with a further presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Divya. Now coming to the organization structure of ISRO. ISRO is headed by Department of Space, and Department of Space is headed by Space Commission under Prime Minister. Currently chairman of ISRO and Secretary of Department of Space is Dr. K. Sivan. There are different autonomous units under Department of Space. First, PRL, Physical Research Laboratory. Its center is in Ahmedabad. In 11 November 1947, PRL is founded by Dr. Vikram Sarabhai. PRL is a premier institute engaged in basic research in experimental and theoretical physics, astronomy and astrophysics, earth, planetary and atmospheric science. NARL, National Atmospheric Research Laboratory at Gadanki near Tirupati, an autonomous society supported by Department of Space, is a center for atmospheric research. NARL is involved in technology development, observations, data archivals, dissemination, assimilation, and modeling. NESAC, Northeastern Space Application Center, located at Shillong, is a joint initiative of Department of Space and Northeastern Council (NEC) to provide development support to the Northeastern region (NER) using space science and technology. The center has the mandate to develop high technology infrastructure support to play the catalytic role in the holistic development of NER of India by providing space and technology support. SCL, Semiconductor Laboratory at Chandigarh, an autonomous body under Department of Space, is a research and development unit engaged in design development, fabrication, assembly, packaging, testing, and reliability, assurance of application specific integrated circuit, ASIC, and optoelectronic imaging and microelectromechanical system devices. SCL is working towards creating a strong microelectronics base in the country and enhance capabilities in very large scale integrated circuit domain. IIST, Indian Institute of Space Science and Technology, is Asia's first space university, was established at Thiruvananthapuram in 2007 with the objective of offering high quality education in space science and technology to meet the demands of Indian space program. Now let's see about Antrix. Antrix Corporation Limited, ACL, is in Bangalore, is a wholly owned Government of India company under the administrative control of Department of Space. ACL was incorporated as a private limited company owned by Government of India in September 1992 as a marketing arm of ISRO for promotion and commercial exploitation of space products, technical consultancy services, and transfer of technology developed by ISRO. NSIL, New Space India Limited, incorporated on 6 March 2019 under the Companies Act 2013, is a wholly owned Government of India company under the administrative control of Department of Science. NSIL is a commercial arm of Indian Space Research Organization with the primary responsibility of enabling Indian industries to take up high technology space related activities and is also responsible for promotion and commercial exploitation of the product and services enabling from the Indian space program. ISRO has many centers spread across India like Vikram Sarabhai Space Center, Liquid Propulsion System Center, Satish Dhawan Space Center, U.R. Rao Satellite Center, and many such. As you can see on the map, there are different space centers and units spread across different parts of India. Today, we can proudly say that Indian Space Research Organization has successfully launched 111 spacecraft, including 3 nanosatellites, 1 microsatellite, 80 launch missions, including Scramjet TD, RLV TD, and Crew Escape System, 12 student satellite, 2 re-entry missions. Some of proud moments include when PSLV C-37 successfully carried and deployed a record of 104 satellites in a Sun synchronous orbit on 15th Feb 2017. The Mars Orbiter Mission, MOM, also called Mangalyaan, is a space probe orbiting Mars since 24 September 2014. It was launched on 5 November 2013 by ISRO, made India's first interplanetary mission, and it made fourth agency to achieve Mars orbit after Roscosmos, NASA, and the European Space Agency. Budgetary provision. The ISRO is on the road to transforming itself from an end-to-service provider for India's space program into a facilitator. The latest budget allocation is a signal that the Indian government is serious about giving private players a serious role in the second space age. Budget allocation for the Department of Space has increased by 3.5% for the 2021 to 2022. Around 3,980 crore rupees was left unutilized last year, presumably due to the disruption caused by the COVID-19 pandemic. NSIL commercial arm ISRO saw a 138 time jumps in allocation. Future as prospects. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman declared that India's first human spaceflight mission, Gaganyaan, will conduct its first unmanned launch by the end of the year. India's first human spacecraft mission, Gaganyaan, is estimated to be a year behind schedule due to the impact of COVID-19. The mission is required to clear two uncrewed missions before human testing can begin. Finance Minister has promised that at least one is likely to take place before the end of the year. Other space exploration missions like Chandrayaan-3, Shukrayaan, and Mangalyaan-2 did not make it into her budget 2021 to 2022 address. Now I hand over to Divya to explain policy analysis.
Thank you, Karishma. So we'll go to the policy analysis, space programs of Japan and India. Today, increasing number of countries in the Asia Pacific region is using outer space with various purposes. Many countries are also aspiring to acquire indigenous capability for space activities. Moreover, increasing private or commercial activities are seen in this region, which is creating competition in the market for technology, applications, and services. Security needs are also major drivers of space activity in many countries. Under the umbrella of Space Policy and Law Network in Asia Pacific, University of Tokyo in Japan and National Institute of Advanced Studies in India have taken up a joint study to research and prepare a report on space policies of the Asia Pacific region, especially including Japan, India, and many other faring nations in this region. As the first step of this joint project, the team has undertaken a comparative analysis of space policies in Japan and India. Japan and India are the leading spacefaring countries in this region. In Japan, promoting advanced technology, innovation, and scientific research has been the major policy objective. In addition, space utilization as well as industrialization of space are also primary drivers for the space policy objectives since the enactment of Basic Space Law in the year 2008. Thank you. Now I would request Karishma to take over with the further slides of our presentation.
Reforms for private sector. Despite ISRO's success, India's space competitiveness has suffered from the absence of a globally reputed private space industries. The private sector, especially the new space industries and the startups, have an advantage in terms of low-cost operations, which itself should be a big incentive for the government to make it an active stakeholder. In order to enhance diffusion of space technology and boost space economy within the country, Department of Space desired to encourage the participation of private companies in space activities. ISRO shall complement Department of Space in its objective of opening up the space sector to private industries. In this regard, the following reforms are proposed in the mode of execution of space activities in the country. In order to enhance utilization and maximize benefits from the space assets, it is proposed to change the approach from supply-based model to demand-based model. New Space India Limited will act as an aggregator of the user requirement and obtain commitments. NSIL to take ownership from Department of Space for operational launch vehicles, commercialize launches, satellites, and services. Permit NGPEs to carry out space activities through an Indian National Space Promotion and Authorization Center. ISRO to carry out capacity building in space domain through development of new space technology and capability and enabling sharing of facilities by NSIL and NGPEs. Announcement of opportunity of NGPEs offering challenges in new domains of technology. So by this, we all know ISRO has a long way to go and achieve more success. And as our Prime Minister Narendra Modi says, in science, there is no such things. There are only experiment and efforts. I want to conclude my sessions and our presentation. Thank you.
Thanks, Team B. Now I would like to invite Team C students from Avinash Lingam, Ms. Priyanka and Ms. Mani Vasakhi. Over to you, Team C.
Am I audible?
Yeah. You are audible.
Yes, you are.
So my teammate couldn't join with us today because she has at last minute she had some network issues. So I'll be continuing her part. Good evening all. I'm Priyanka from Avinashalingam University. I'm doing my master's in social work. In this presentation, I have covered the meaning, reasons for having a space policy, the threat we have in implementing a space policy, importance of space policy, how a space policy should be, and new space policies in India, the policies, India's development in space research and technology, norms and guidelines that are being imposed currently for space policies. So now I'll be starting with the meaning of space policy. It is the political decision making process for and application of public policy of states or number of states together regarding space flight and uses of outer space, both for civilian purposes like scientific and commercial and for military purposes. Space policy intersects with science policy since national space programs often performs or fund research in space science and also with defense policy for applications such as spy satellites and anti-satellite weapons. It also encompasses government regulations of third-party activities such as commercial communication satellites and private space flight. The next is why we have to have space policies. The benefit of strategic research and development, scientific discovery, and strong relationships formed through the cooperative exploration of space are the main reasons why so many countries invest in advanced space science and explorations. The benefit of space can be categorized as either direct or indirect. The direct benefits of exploration include the generations of scientific knowledge, the diffusions of innovation and creation of markets, the inspiration of people around the world, and agreement forged between the countries engaged in exploration. Other reasons are human activities have contributed to deforestation, desertification, soil degradation, depletion of the ozone layer, and climate change. Space-based technologies such as remotely sensed data have enhanced scientific understanding of water cycles, air quality, forest, and other aspects of the natural environment. Apart from this, space policies plays an important role in telecommunication, positioning, navigation, Earth observation, and various military applications. It also gives the benefits of exploration, including scientific knowledge, innovation, and creation of markets, and expansion of contacts. The next is threat we have while implementing a space policy. Since space does not belong to anyone, everyone should have an access to it, and it should be used for the benefit of all mankind. The beginning of the space age, this notion was only the theoretical, as in reality, very few could access space and benefit from it. However, as mentioned earlier, in recent years, more and more actors of different kinds engage in space activities. Currently, there are attempts to not only utilize space for military or scientific reasons, but also purely for leisure purposes. Space tourism has been on the agenda for some years and is slowly becoming a reality. On one hand, it is exciting that space is finally becoming relatively reachable for more and more people, companies, and states. On the other hand, there are costs with the benefits that should not be neglected, as they bring many potential threats. There is an increased need to guarantee sustainability of space activities. More actors translate into increased crowding in key orbits as well as an increased amount of debris. Here, debris means piece of something that is destroyed or broken due to accident. The next is importance of having space policy. For success today, space activities require public and private long-term funding and a clear focus on policy goals. There must be a political will to have a national space program, as investment in space system is largely a governmental activity. Governments are willing to invest in programs that translate into a public good, such as national security, crisis management, weather forecasting, disaster management, and natural resource management. It is important to realize that creating a space agency is not sufficient to guarantee a good space program. A space program agency, as any other governmental agency, will need a policy or a group of policies to guide its activities and shape the evolution of the national space program. The next is I'm here to present how a space policy should be. A space policy should focus on developing and promoting space programs on internal and external security matters, preserving and promoting international cooperation for peaceful exploration and use of space, improving infrastructure for development and promotion of space education and research in India so that the qualified and technical space manpower achieves global acceptance, recognition, and competitive edge. Framing guidelines on national space security matters, framing guidelines on civil and commercial space matters, defining radio frequency spectrum and orbit management matters, addressing issues related to orbital debris and nuclear race in space, privatization of space business aimed at improving domestic and international competition, creation of a specialized agency for promotion of domestic and international space business, framing broad guidelines on space safety and liability matters, and establishing a high-powered committee to study group for development of space law. These are some of the objects of new space policy that was implemented in 2020. Those objects include to solve developmental challenges by using space activities towards more optimal resource management, to boost economic growth by using space activities to increase the economic productivity of the country, to create new job opportunities, and to promote entrepreneurship in the space sector, to broaden access to space so that the benefits of space activity can be reaped by everyone, to promote international collaboration and manage obligation by providing a legal and economic framework, to acknowledge space as a new domain of security and safeguard India's interests, to uphold internal security, and to project power by leveraging information and capabilities in space, to advance scientific research by building an enabling environment that supports research of the highest quality, to promote exploration of uncharted territories, to further technological innovation by building facilities that enable the development of state-of-the-art technologies. These are some of the new space policies. In this new space policy, the authority of space regulatory was established. The members in the said regulatory was appointed. The terms and conditions of service was stated. The power of chairperson was revised. Procedures of decision making was explained. The procedures for managing other issues like international treaty obligations, intellectual property creation, promoting investments, increasing research and development in space, monitoring and collaboration with government, international partnership was also mentioned. This is one of the latest India's development in research and technology, space research and technology. It is India's Polar Satellite Launch Vehicle, PSLV C-51. It is successfully launched Amazonia 1 along with 18 co-passenger satellite on February 28, 2021 from Satish Dhawan Space Center, Sriharikota. It is the optical Earth observation satellite of National Institute for Space Research. This satellite would strengthen the existing structure by providing remote sensing data to users for monitoring deforestation in the Amazon region and analysis of diversified agriculture across Brazilian territory. And next comes the norms and guidelines of the space policy. These are some norms and guidelines for implementation of space framework for satellite communications. Those includes Article 1. The government states that satellites of both Indian and foreign shall be operated in Indian soil. However, preference shall be given to proposals that has its basis on Indian satellites. According to this article, the norms for operating satellites in Indian soil is formulated by the respective ministry or department by following the other articles 2, 3, and 4, which are following. Similarly, in case of broadcasting, like TV and sound, the condition will be governed by broadcast bill as may be passed by the parliament. In case of GMPCS, that is Global Mobile Personal Communication Service, the operating license condition will be as determined by the GMPCS policy by Department of Telecommunication. Next comes Article 2, the policy framework for guidelines and norms regarding use of Indian national satellites by non-governmental policies are given in this second article. It also explains the factors that lead to this set norms. The basic guidelines for various sectors like commercial and business lines are listed here. Various classification of sectors using satellites are listed here. Allocation of capacity for satellite usage. All commercial and contractual factors are mentioned under this article. The additional capacity on Indian national satellite are decided based upon the sector request under this article. In Article 3, guidelines and procedure for establishing and operating Indian systems are explained. A detailed note on administrative department, license that are required for the process, the authorities that are responsible for issue of the license, the guidelines and procedures to be followed while issuing the license, the information the applicant should provide at the time of applying for the license, the procedure for processing the application, the rules to be followed while coordinating with other satellite operators or administration, guidelines for monitoring progress, and guidelines for transfiling files are given in this article. The next is Article 4. In this article, norms and guidelines for operating foreign satellite in India are given. The services provided in this satellite are classified: international communication services, domestic communication services, classification, norms, guidelines and procedure for domestic satellite services are mentioned. I would like to conclude my presentation that presently, many states depend on various space-based assets from communication and navigation to weather forecasting, high-resolution imagery, and more. For developed and developing countries alike, the decision to invest in national space policy has been predicted not only on obtaining various technological advances, but also on address national security needs. Many developing countries, which are not able to maintain space programs alone, enter into partnership with other countries through regional or international cooperation. Despite the tangible scientific, socio-economic, and even military benefits, the political aspect should also be considered. In the world of international diplomacy, appearances can also make all the difference. Thank you.
Well, I thank all Team A, Team B, Team C for their wonderful presentation. And as I can see, all the females were leading the presentation. So let me share something amazing facts about the females. You know, we are proud to be a woman in that. So do you know that as if March 2021, 65 women have flown in space, including astronauts, cosmonauts, and payload specialists and space station participants. And the first woman in space was a Russian cosmonaut Valentina Tereshkova, who flew on Vostok on 6th of June 1963. Isn't it amazing, right? Well, now I would like to invite our mentor, who I think is the authority in herself, to give you the remarks on your presentation, where she will be giving her assessment on the attributes based on your presentation skills, clarity on topics, you know, critical thinking and analyzing and formulating how you guys have done, and the translation of the research work into the information. So now let me invite, and we are proud to have Ms. Sri Sudha Vishwanathan on board. Over to you, madam.
Thank you. I mean, I would say it's a very comprehensive, presentation by all the three teams. Let us go one by one, team A, team B, team C, and then I would say, like, more focus on understand where there is a, more focus needed for understanding this policy. Okay. With regard to team A, can I have them on camera?
Yeah, Ms. Neha and Sadia, can you be there on the board, having your videos on?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and Neha and Sadia, after listening to all the three presentations, what do you see was missing in yours? Do you see, how do you comment yourself, on where you are?
I would say that the other teams, especially Team B, were a lot more creative with their presentation and content.
Okay, what about the content of presentation on the space policy?
Yeah, we delivered the guidelines and procedures, and that was it.
Yeah,
but the other teams, yes, please continue.
yes,
Sorry.
yeah. See, the thing is, you were, this is about the space policy, right? Yes, you try to pitch in. And if I had, observed on the inauguration day how this, any policy was, explained, I mean, I would try to again take your mentor, internal mentor at Pradeep Singh. How was sir doing it? He was telling what is the history of, where did the history begin, right? And what is about that, and what does it, what does it mean, and what is your own research on it, right? Rather, you did not speak about any of the space policy other than human space program. Okay, Gaganyaan is one small part of the space policy, correct? So ISRO does not only do Gaganyaan in the newest age. Yes, it is focusing on human space program, But if you have listened to Team B, they have been sending satellites to space regularly, right? For communication, for remote sensing, for maritime operations, what else and what not. So that whatever you are saying is one small portion of what ISRO is envisaging to do. Gaganyaan is one. Yes, we have not been into manned mission or crude based mission, so we are focusing on that, and we have developed policies. We are thinking how will take care of the crew training, where will the crew be selected, and how to have crew based missions, and so how much of protection we need to ensure and all this stuff. So you are targeting one small speck of one small area of space policy. Okay? So I would say the human space flight you presented well, but you missed the total space policy itself. Okay, all the best. But however, with regards to the human space flight program, you were very comprehensive and you did your part. Okay, but that alone is not the policy. That you should understand. Okay. Now going to Team B. Yeah, thank you, Neha and Sadia. Now going to Team B. Divya, Gadge, and
Divya was there and Karishma was there.
Karishma Samuel.
okay, yeah, okay. Both of you, first of all, my very big applause to you. Because the history and the current operation of ISRO was, because in the space policy till now, whatever we have seen, it's only ISRO which is implementing it. Okay. And you have well spoken about the history and how it operates. Yes, very little on the policy, but policy applications were more, right? Whereas Team C was concentrating on the policies. Okay, so you were how these policies are being implemented by ISRO, you had very well presented it. I was happy. And one thing is about the new age space policy, I think there was less of information that was provided, right? But the as such of the space policy, it was very comprehensive, the number of space, and it is more about ISRO rather than the space policy. But if you see the new age space policy, it has a total drift. It is towards commercialization of space activities, but since it has to take care of the political grounds, because it is a national security domain, right? So we are set to have proper guidelines before we begin space commercialization. Hope you are getting that point, right? So that is more about the new space policy. In general, your space policy, what ISRO is doing is perfect. You have understood whatever is that. But you need to speak, you were missing the point of, again, Team A, which is about the human space flight program, not to that extent. And again, you had mentioned about in space, a green, highlight on the what was that, I would say?
Organizing chart was there.
Organizing chart was there. There was
The
some
chart,
in-space green portion was there. But you mentioned about all other things, SAC, you went even to LPSC in Trivandrum South you went, but you missed that real highlighted part that need to be talked about. These are all existing. What is the new age policy is there, but you spoke about NSIL. I think you were the one, right? Your team spoke about an NSIL. So
Yes,
all that is good. You did cover a major part. A small portion is missing, which you need to add. Okay, probably the detailed operation of ISRO can be lessened, and you can put more about the policies. Okay, yeah. Thank you and well
Thank
done.
you, ma'am.
So much.
And Team C.
Yeah, Priyanka is there and Avni, I feel, is there.
Ma'am?
Yeah.
Priyanka.
Priyanka.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, and that I should say that was too good. Too good means really too good, because you covered what actually is a space policy. Then you also went into what is the new space policy, right? And
Yes,
what is
ma'am.
and one or two points that were I would have been happy, because you covered almost everything. one or two points I would have, been happy if you would have added is, what is the change that is expected from new Indian space policy? Can you tell me on that?
Ma'am, can you repeat the questions again?
What is the change that is expected because of this new Indian space policy?
Expansion on communication.
Okay.
And we are also having trouble regarding the water issues, ma'am. So,
okay, I will tell you this. See,
yes,
all
ma'am.
along, ISRO had been taking care of the Indian, in case of Indian space program, if you say, have you seen, observe NASA, right? American, you all know, right? I need not
Yes,
tell you
ma'am.
about NASA.
Yes,
Along
ma'am.
with that, you know who is Elon Musk? Are you understanding SpaceX? Right? So and do you know when the first team was speaking about low Earth orbit, we know there is an International Space Station that
Yes.
exists in the low Earth orbit and it is orbiting, right? So what does it all say? One thing that is privatization, okay, of space sector. And in India, it is solely as the team B had mentioned, Dr. Vikram Sarabhai's aim was to serve the nation, because we had basic social problems. We are a vast country, so we needed, space for development of our own country. That was the initial. Then she also said there is an expansion phase that is going on, and we are also have a body antrix for commercialization of space. And now we are going into human space program with lot of such ambitious program. You need lot of space. If you see the space budget, you need lots of money, you need lots of investment pouring in, you need lots of private players coming into place. Now till now it is only the government taking care of the launch as well as the satellites, but the launch is solely by the government now. So the new age space age policy is now giving guidelines if there are going to be private space players. If you see every day in the news, there are at least 4 or 5 private space players, who are showing the technology demonstration. I have done this, I have done this. Like, if you see Dr. Pavan is there, he has his own Skyroot Aerospace. If you see Dr. Srinath Ravichandran is there, he has his own organization. There are many players who are coming. So this is much as to go with a lot of investment coming from out of India, right? It's foreign investment that it is being put, and also a lot of private players. Then anybody can do anything, because it is going to hamper the security of our nation. So what should one do? ISRO is saying, I'm happy, I will give my launch pad. Come, any of the private player, come and launch your vehicle. Use my launch pad for your launch vehicle, launch satellites. So it's like, it's opening it out. But there needs to be certain guidelines for private players also, because we have to protect our national security issues. We cannot compromise on it. So that is why this is getting very, very important. And this new age space policy's aim is over there. You all are, told what is the policy, what does it do, all that is fantastic. But main thing is, now we need to expand our space activities. We have more ambitious program, but ISRO has to continue with its regular activities. So it needs a lot of support. Earlier there was support, but once the technology is being developed, then there is a technology transfer to private companies. But there was no complete space player. If you see private space player in India, now there are private space players coming up. They will be launching their own satellites from, but what is the advantage of our Indian mission and why we are trying to commercialize it? Team B was saying, because ours is a low cost mission and PSLV has been the workhorse of ISRO, and it has demonstrated as the most reliable, flight. So you can just like that depend on it, the launch vehicle. So these are some of the advantages. I think I am able to make you understand why this policy is, having so much of importance. Why is there a revolutionary change that is being taking place, right?
Yeah, of
Yes,
course.
Okay, so any questions to me?
Anyone from the presenters, if they have any questions, please let us know. Oh, no voice means no questions, no problem.
Yeah,
So,
but I'm very glad that you people are able to comprehend to this level, because that is a multi-dimensional sector involving lots of technology and lots of words. You are able to interpret it. Long way to go. Kudos to entire team. Wish you all good luck, and thank you, Pradeep sir. I think it's a wonderful initiative, and Arpita ma'am. Well, you had moderated the total session very well, and good anchoring too. Okay. Yeah.
Thanks a lot, ma'am. We're really great to have you on board with us. And my heartfelt gratitude. And well, can I request my IT team to kindly present the certificate of gratitude to ma'am, please, for mentoring our interns for today's session?
Arpita, this can proceed later on the
Okay,
later.
fine.
Because
Can we go for the?
Yeah. I need to actually speak to all the interns how they have presented as if now.
Sure.
I discussed with the interns, with the coordinators, what are the consideration sets actually whenever we talk about the policy. The team C, that is Avinash Lingam, they have taken up the need actually why we are going for a policy change. What exactly is required? What is the demographic requirement? What is the social requirement? What is that military requirement? So political agenda is of course there. It is always there. Whenever we talk about any of the policy, there is a political agenda or political will is required for that. But out of this political agenda, there are certain requirements, that is social, emotional, military requirements, geographical requirements, and the physical requirements of the country. That is why any of the policy has been actually either going for a change, or that is why we actually try to instate that particular policy. Let me come out with some of the data here. Why we came out with this policy, the change of the Indian space policy. In 2019, Government of India has evaluated that somewhere US is having a 1300 plus satellites, and we are having somewhere, although we are sixth in this, but we are having a 58 plus satellites. Only 2% of the budget of the total disbursement of from the Government of India, the total disbursement on space is by India, that is 2%. And India want to actually increase this budget, the complete budget which we are actually expanding towards, or which we are actually forcing towards space policy. And to achieve this particular subset, the need of the people, the economical need, and whatever the weather conditions, whatever the geographical conditions, just to address those things and just to align the funding on those, we have actually come out with a policy. Now, in the first, I must say, the very first team, they have explained very nicely this thing, that what are the structure of the ISRO is, how the ISRO is actually working on. If you can make it out, there are two organizations out of that Anthrax and NSIL. It's a private body. It's a private body, although it's been run totally by government. The complete structure, the complete, I must say, administration is being done by government institutions only, but it's a private body. And they have, of course, proposed to the Government of India that if you go for an entrepreneurship like Elon Musk, or like the Orbit is, or if the US is actually forcing out or coming out with the space stations, or China or Russia is coming out with a space station, why cannot we? If the countries are coming out for reaching out to other planets, why not we? But for that, we require funding. That is being proposed by Anthrax and NSIL. And because of this, the Indian space policy, the new policy, has been actually framed out after, for that reason. Then comes the policy which was taken out and which was drafted. It was more about talking about the SETCOM. satellite communication, which we are actually focusing for this. And as Madam said, Srisudha Madam said, whenever we talk about the space policy, it's a matter of country's security first. So once the country's security first is the matter and the decision is to be done, still we are inviting. If you take the count of some entrepreneurs, somewhere we have 11 to 12 different players in 2020 itself. During COVID itself, some 11 to 12 entities have actually registered with the ISRO or this NSIL or Anthrax for going an entrepreneurship journey, like Elon Musk, what he has actually vision for that. For this reason, we have started. So space policy has given the guidelines how to go for an entrepreneurship. What can be the role of the governance there? If we talk about entrepreneurship, but still what can be the role of governance? What can be the role of bureaucracy? How to take out those roles? That is why the Indian space policy has been drafted. Then comes, if we are talking about the space policy, there is a database, there is an inventory, there is an stuff which is working around for space equipments. And for that reason also, we require accountability, because if we are asking other foreign players to come in or other private players to come in to learn on that or use that particular launch pad, still there will be misunderstanding. There will be if the organizations are coming to use the launch pad, still they will be using some of their equipments too. There can be an IT breach also. There can be a IPR regulations also. So these needs to be actually streamlined for all these things, and that is why this Indian space policy has been actually drafted. Coming out to the capacity building. Capacity building we can do for ISRO or we can do Indian space policies on those 14 listed places only. There is no such other places in India where we are doing anything capacity building related to space. So again, the security issues were there. Security reasons have been actually discussed on this. And that is why Indian space policy is coming out. So once you draft the policy, if you talked about the policy, come out with what are the needs for there. Why we are going for this particular policy? What are the needs? What are the needs being addressed? What is being talked about in this particular policy, which I have discussed. Second team, of course, they have given the structure. The complete structure was there on the ISRO. Some part was there for the privatization. By that, they can actually come out with that India is going for a privatization or India is going for an entrepreneurship in Indian space policy. And the very last slide, we have taken some of the notion of Indian space policy, but somehow they have missed. I totally appreciate Team Ammaslingam because they have worked nicely on the space policy exactly. Because when we talk about the policy, it is always again and again that consideration sets, which I have discussed in my very first speech actually. And whenever you draft any of the policy, this exercise which we have done today, it's very much actually beneficial for you all. Whenever you are presenting your as a mentor or whenever you are presenting as an intern, this will be a very much beneficial exercise to you all. I must congratulate to all, of course, 6 presenters, because this is the first time they might have actually exercised this kind of presentation on policies. But of course, not later or sooner, they will be understanding all this, how the public policies are. Whenever I talk about the public policies, remember that policy which is for the public. So try to develop your considerations in regard to public first, and then address what are the policies are. Thank you. Thank you, Srisudha Madam, for taking your time, for guiding us, for guiding our interns. And even I must congratulate all coordinators, scholars coordinators. They have been actually, we issued this thing, that notification that students will be working on this particular presentation. And it's very latest news that they have come out. Okay, up to now, the thing was that they will be presenting on the team building tournament. But very third session, we have actually allotted the team members to go for a presentation. It's of course a nice exercise. Thanks to all my mentors. Thanks to all students here, those who are listening to us. Thanks to today's mentor, Srisudha Madam, for giving us her time. She will be there for us for one more this thing session. And that particular session will be on the I think, drone. Again, a very diplomatic, I must say, which is covering the national security, more or less covering the national security. But yes, it carries entrepreneurship, it carries budgeting, funding, and whatnot, even the technological aspects also. So go for this drone flying also. The same model will be there. Sri Sudha Madam will be actually mentoring on that. Arpita ji, will be listening to you. The assessment will be, the details of the assessments, they will be actually revealed by tomorrow itself to you all, who are actually the best presenter out of this. Although, thank you to all. I only need to say, or I only need to add regarding this assignment 1. The assignment 1 which is being given to you all. See, the assignment 1 is totally talking about the sustainable development goals. I have given the listed 17 sustainable development goals, and there are 30, I think 36 or 38 organizations or communities are listed into that. Only students, what they have to do is, first of all, read up, give at least, I must say, the detailed, even the detail, not the complete introduction of that SDG. Just go through the detailed this thing SDGs first. Read out that SDGs. Come out with this. Okay, this SDG is actually talking about this. Once you get on that the SDG is talking about this, map against those communities, map against those organizations. If I have given the temple, just map it against that. If I had given the bank, just map it against that. If I had given even the post office also is there in the list. What I am trying to do is, we are talking more and more about the urbanization, or we are talking more about the sustainable development within the scope of only urban people. Here I have given the exercise which all those communities or all the organizations are listed are in villages. People or the community driven are in the villages. You have to map those organizations or those community peoples to those SDGs. Not taking much time, of course, we have covered all the sessions. Thanks to all. Moving out to Arpita ji. Thanks to all, and thanks to all our presenters. Thank you.
Well, everyone has given their point of view, so I think I'm left to give my point of view. Well, in the eyes of mine, all are good. At the end of the day, all have depleted their hard work, time, and energy. I'm not the expert, but the most important thing is this: you tried your level best to present your thought process. So, kudos to all of them, whomsoever has presented. Well, results will be coming sooner or later. That's a different story. But let me tell you one thing: we are over here to enrich you with the knowledge. Winning and losing is a different story altogether. Who's going to come first? Who's going to come second? We are not focusing on that. We are focusing on enriching you with the knowledge. And now let me come to the concluding part of the session, as we are talking about the space policy. So let me conclude this session with a quote from Mr. Vikram Sarabhai, the father of the Indian space program, where he said, "There are some who question the relevance of space activities in a developing nation. To us, there is no ambiguity of purpose. We do not have the fantasy of competing with the economically advanced nation in the exploration of the moon or the planets or manned space flight. But we are convinced that we are to play a meaningful role nationally and in the community of nations. We must be second to none in the application of advanced technologies to the real problem of man and society." So once again, thanks to all of them for being over here on this session, and thanks to our mentors too, and special thanks to Ms. Sri Sudha Vishwanathan ji for mentoring us. And last not the least, stay blessed, healthy. See you in the next amazing session of the Atmanirbhar Bharat Vocational Learning Platform internship on the social. Thank you.
I request all to please switch on your video so that I can have a pic of you all, because every day we need to post on LinkedIn or the social media. Today my IT intern is not there, so I have to actually catch up this. So thank you to all. We have a pic. Thanks. It was a Kodak moment. Thank you. Not taking much of the time. Arpita ji, we are closing for the day. Thank you to all.
Thank you. Thanks all. Bye.